Today I would like to talk about some of the opportunities we have identified in the area of navigation. To kick us off, I would like to start with the changes we are going to make as part of 14.0. And if you focus on the top nav and the left sidebar, you can see that we are going to combine these three different items here into one larger menu. We're also going to make the left sidebar items a bit more compact. And the reason why we made these changes is that we identified that previously areas in the More item were not easily discoverable. People didn't know where to find it, and was a large problem for these areas that they were hidden behind this flyout menu. Now that we've combined it with projects and groups, we hope it's easier to understand for users how they are related together, and also that it's going to lead to more discoverability for each of these areas. The changes on the left sidebar are mainly due to us identifying a problem that having increased the number of items on the left sidebar led to less discoverability for some very important areas. For example, settings for almost all users and different resolutions was hidden in the beginning, or at least hidden when they have opened different top-level items. Now with the new design, we hope that we make these areas more discoverable and that it's a better short to medium term design. However, when looking at our next steps on the left navigation, we see that the number of items is growing. For example, in 14.0, we are going to change from operations to monitoring, infrastructure, and deployments. There are currently different proposals in research, but we are going to end up with somewhere between 12 to 16 top-level items and somewhere between 60 to 75 sub-level items. That's a huge number. And what we're seeing is that each of these top-level items now has more and more sub-level items. This leads to a situation where one top-level item with all the different sub-level items occupies more than half of the entire space that we have available, pushing down the other top-level items and making it tougher to navigate between the top level. Our assumption was that the current priority of navigating within a top-level item is not actually what we should prioritize on. So we looked at the data and we tried to figure out which of the items are most visited. And what we saw is that, for example, in issues, only the issue list and boards together make up 95% of all page views. The other 5 items we make available to the user make currently about 5% of the page views. The same is true for CI/CD, where pipelines has 85% of the page views and jobs has 10% of the page views, combining for 95%, whereas all the other items only combine to about 5%. So that means we should rather prioritize switching between the different top-level areas here. And one design proposal we had made to prioritize this aspect is to move the sub-level items and convert them to tabs on the actual page itself. There are a few downsides to this, though. It pushes down the content, and we have looked at how we could counteract this specific part as well. We are looking at, for example, removing the breadcrumb, as repository is already visible here, the project is visible here, and we are looking at whether there are ways to visualize the hierarchy and make the top namespace or the parent namespace also available here to also better visualize the hierarchy of the project and how it relates to the namespace. So this would lead to this kind of design. But one other aspect we have identified that we need to solve is that a lot of pages currently already have tabs on the page. When looking at, for example, CI/CD and pipelines, we see that there's all finished branches and tags. To solve this problem, we would keep the sublevel items from the left sidebar as tabs, but convert the tabs on the page itself to segmented controls. We have not yet looked at every single page in our entire platform to see whether this would work for all the different pages, so we need to still do some more investigation to understand whether this pattern works for every page type. But when we're looking at, for example, merge requests, you'll see that this pattern is also very similar to what users are already used to from, for example, GitHub. GitHub uses the same segmented control pattern for issues, merge requests, and other types. And it would allow us to, for example, move analytics and settings into this area without creating this conflict. Another opportunity we have identified while working on this is that we are facing the same problem on the right sidebar of issues and merge requests, where we have pushed so much information into the right sidebar that we should now look at both short-term wins as well as how we are going to resolve the situation in the long term. One final piece that also came up during the navigation spike that the editor team did was the homepage. Currently, you have the opportunity to customize the content of your homepage. But when we investigated the numbers, 99% of users had left it at the default. We were not sure whether this was intentional or whether they were just not aware that it's customizable. So we wanted to make this customizability a bit more discoverable, introduced a banner, and we hope that it also would give us some more information what kind of content users would actually like to see on the homepage. And as you can see in the numbers, there is a bit more of a push towards these customized pages, but we believe that there's still a huge opportunity for us to create an actual homepage that gives users access to the right kind of information and maybe more of a combined view of all of these areas that they would need to see. So these were some of the largest problems we have identified and worked on as part of the navigation, but also some of the long-term opportunities we would love to dive even deeper into. Thank you all for listening, and I'm very much looking forward to your feedback.